Hello, Nashville. I am Bo Beach. This is the Free Speech Podcast presented by Beechwood Commercial Real Estate Brokerage. I've got 9 different stories to share with you today, which will be presented in a no-nonsense, authentic style, as I'm sure you've come to appreciate. The first story is going to be an update on Oracle. Obviously, a huge company, the largest economic development deal in the history of the state of Tennessee. What's going on with Oracle? I'm going to give you an update there. Then I'm going to talk about another corporate relocation, this time to Williamson County. Many white-collar jobs coming from Memphis. I'll tell you that story. Next, a high-profile apartment deal called Prime on Church Street in downtown Nashville. Started pre-leasing that project, almost complete. I'm going to tell you that story. Then a concert venue coming to Madison, years in the making, grand opening planned soon. I'll tell you that story. Next, we'll talk about a concert venue that fell apart. A very high profile project in Murfreesboro just had the plug pulled on it. I'm going to tell you that story. Next, I'm going to give you a quick update on where we are in the office attendance, right? So we're going to compare where we are today and people actually inhabiting their offices versus pre-pandemic to put that in perspective for you. Then we'll talk about Elon Musk recently announcing that he's moving both X, formerly known as Twitter, and SpaceX out of California in response to all the nonsense that's going there, moving both those headquarters to Texas. I'll tell you that story. Then we'll discuss mortgage refinancing. Believe it or not, a big spike in mortgage financing. I'm going to explain that to you and why that's happening. And lastly, I'm going to tell you a story about youth sports. So youth sports are something I'm very passionate about. That's really where my charity exists, to operate in the youth sports space. And there's a study that came out that lends itself to a lot of the teaching that I do, both as a coach, as a father, and in that charity. I want to teach you about the link between competing in youth sports as a child and mental health later in life as an adult. So I'll tell you that story. Let's get into the update on Oracle. Oracle has snagged another floor of a downtown Nashville office building that's serving as the Fortune 100 company's interim landing spot. Oracle's total office space now more than 120,000 square feet. The expansion adds nearly 30% to the company's prior footprint, all within the Radius building, right? The name of the office building is Radius, located at 601 11th Avenue North. Construction of its planned $1.35 billion riverfront office campus has yet to begin, and no start date appears imminent. It's been more than 3 years since the software and cloud computing company got the incentives to move its office to Nashville and agreed to hire 8,500 workers in Nashville by the end of 2031. At the time, it was the single largest economic development deal in the city and in state history. Chairman Larry Ellison later called the campus the company's future world headquarters. Now, to remind you, this is 70 acres that a single seller assembled and then sold to Oracle for an eye-popping $277 million for 70 acres along the river on which to build on. Oracle now has 700 Nashville area employees. They've got a long ways to go to 8,500. They're at 700 today, shooting for 8,500 by the end of 2031. So Oracle doing a lot of hiring, right? Got a lot of space under lease, not doing a whole lot of construction as of right now. So their project has been described as a park with office buildings in it. So it's really going to be an extraordinary project. It is going to be one of the crown jewels of Nashville. It is very, very impressive thing for Nashville to be able to pull off a world headquarters for a Fortune 100 company in Oracle. So stay tuned to that. We'll keep you updated as we go along. Let's talk about another economic development deal. One of Memphis's largest private company is moving all of its executives to Franklin in Williamson County. True Green, the largest lawn services provider in the U.S., signed a lease for 37,000 square feet, relocating from Memphis. The company's sales, marketing, and other support teams like human resources will join the C-suite in the move. True Green ranks as the Memphis area's sixth largest privately held company. Its 2022 revenue was $1.51 billion. That's a lot of lawns. The company offers lawn, tree, shrub, and pest control services. True Green had about 300 Memphis employees last year. The company plans to move half of those employees to Franklin and keep around 100 employees, mostly consisting of support services in Memphis. Now, U.S. companies have been prioritizing headquarters relocations in a post-pandemic environment. The Nashville area has been at the top of many lists, ranking them amongst the top 5 U.S. markets that have gained new headquarters. So the craziness of COVID has gotten many of these companies that are not located in business-friendly environments to consider a move. And once they did consider that move, Nashville was at the top of most of those lists. We are in the top 5 U.S. markets for new headquarters over that time period. More than 40 corporate headquarters are located in Williamson County, including Nissan, Mars Pet Care, Tractor Supply, Mitsubishi Motors, and soon to be In-N-Out Burger. The county, which has long been the region's suburban headquarters hub, ended 2023 with more job announcements than any other of the 94 counties in the state. So more job announcements in Williamson County than in any other county in the state of Tennessee, including Davidson County. Williamson County has been punching above its weight class for a long time. I am a believer. I live in Williamson County. I very much love Williamson County. I see Williamson County and the quality of life here as kind of a utopian existence that really doesn't exist anywhere else. I mean, other places can get close, but nowhere hits it right on the head as well as Williamson County does. I'm a big advocate for Williamson County. It is an absolutely wonderful place to live and raise a family. Every time I leave, I'm happy to come back. That's my story on Williamson County. Let's keep moving. Prime, an apartment building, just started its pre-leasing process before the building's even done. This is a very high-profile development. It's Tony Giartano's latest Church Street project, a 38-story apartment tower. Plans to open in September, is giving virtual tours of what the spaces will look like before it's even done so that it can pre-lease some of these units. It's located at 801 Church Street. It has 350 apartments, studios, 1 and 2 bedrooms, which are situated above a 13-level parking garage. Can you imagine being on the 13th level? I mean, it's going to be a lot of work winding your way up all the way to level 13. Who knows if it's assigned? You would think it probably would be, but if it's unassigned parking and you're the last person to show up after rush hour, good luck getting to the 12th, 13th floor to find a parking spot. In a first for Nashville, the top level of this apartment tower features 12 two-story townhomes, averaging about 1,400 square feet. The amenity level located on the 11th floor will offer a pool area, a dog run, work from home spaces, and a fitness center. Now, Prime's sister property, the 34-story Alcove Tower, opened in May of last year. The two towers are located catty corner from each other. I personally believe it's kitty corner, but I'll accept catty corner. We'll keep it moving. This location is seen as a lucrative location because of its close proximity to the Nashville yards, which are just steps away from what's going to be the best in retail and entertainment. Nashville Yards is a very, very high profile project. It is going to be very, very cool. And this location is located nearby. So this location has got a lot going for it. Giordana has built more downtown condos and apartments than any other developer and is currently working on his largest project to date, a 60-story condo and apartment tower near downtown's YMCA, which would be the tallest tower in all of Tennessee. Giordana purchased the 0.43 acre parcel for Prime in March of 2021 for $12 million. So we're talking about a tower with 13 floors of parking, 350 apartments on less than a half an acre parcel. You know, I'm in the business, and when I hear stuff like that, it still seems crazy to me that you can have a property of that magnitude on 0.43 acres is just crazy to me. Construction of Prime began in April 2021. The first residents are expected to occupy the building in September. So, very, very cool project. Townhouses on the penthouse level of Prime. Someone is going to spend a lot of money to get their hands on those units, and I bet they are very, very cool. Someone that probably likes to party and host and entertain, because that sounds like an ideal place to throw a party. Let's keep moving. Harkin Hall, a venue in Madison, announces its opening. Nashville's latest music venue has set an opening date, formerly branded as Timberhawk Hall, and then the Roots Barn is set to open its doors this fall in Madison after years of delays. It's located at 514 Madison Station Boulevard. It will have a recording studio and a 700-seat concert hall. It will be open to artists, corporate events, weddings, and more. So Madison, of all places, getting a 700-seat concert venue. Now let's compare and contrast that to the next story out of Murfreesboro. Murfreesboro pulls the plug on its planned music venue, the project called Sunset Music Coliseum on the river. Not a good name. Way too long. Sunset Music Coliseum on the river? No, too much. They probably doomed themselves with bad karma, given the name that they chose. Was set to be located in the Gateway area, but failed due to Note Live. So Note Live was the buyer on this deal. Their inability to meet conditions within the development agreement with the city. So the city of Murfreesboro owns the land. It entered into an agreement with Note Live. Note Live had certain conditions that they had to meet in order to continue to be the buyer of that property. Under the agreement, Notes Live, a Colorado Springs-based live entertainment company, was required to begin its development no later than June 2023. The original June deadline was extended by the city to December of 2024, which Notes Live was still unable to initiate due to a higher interest rate environment. Very, very difficult to borrow money out there right now, y'all. I am in the process of my own ground up project, and it has been a real struggle to borrow money. So not only is it a higher interest rate environment, but even if you're willing to pay the higher interest rates, it's hard to just get the money. The original agreement would have included a state-of-the-art open-air amphitheater with seating capacity for 4,500, right? So this is outside amphitheater 4,500, Bourbon Brothers Smokehouse and Tavern, and a Boot Barn Hall, which is a 400 to 500 seat table setting design, music, and event venue that would have doubled as a 1,400 capacity standing room general admission hall. So you had an outdoor amphitheater and an indoor hall. This property, all located on a 20-acre property. The 20-acre entertainment project was planned to be built at the southeast corner of Medical Center Parkway and Gateway Boulevard. So another very cool music venue project that the buyer, no matter how qualified they were, could not pull off within the constraints of the development agreement. So Murfreesboro pulled out of the deal. Sorry for Murfreesboro. Congratulations to Madison. I'm sure someone will figure it out eventually. We're just in a very tough economic environment for anyone that has to go out and borrow money. Now, let's keep moving. I want to talk to you where we are on office attendance, right? So before the COVID overreaction, right? Not the COVID pandemic, but the ridiculous COVID overreaction whereby our federal leaders, our federal elected leaders ordered people to stay in their homes, right? They absolutely decimated the office building business, right? And I'm going to put it in perspective for you. Big city office attendance averaged just 41% of pre-pandemic levels for the week that ended July 10th. So the week that ended July 10th versus pre-pandemic levels, only 41% of the office space was occupied, right? It's hovered around 50% for much of the past year. So realistically, office buildings are about 50% occupied relative to what we were the pre-pandemic overreaction. That is a difficult situation to be in. That doesn't mean that those office buildings aren't leased more than 50%. They certainly are. But the employers that are leasing them are half empty. You know, their leased office spaces are half empty compared to pre-pandemic. So the office building rebound still has not happened. You know, the work from home situation continues. And I get it. I get if you're an employee, work from home is convenient, especially it eliminates that commute. You know, if you're an employer, if you're the guy paying for the office space, if you're the guy that's paying for all the payroll, it's hard to make work from home make sense. And I would have thought by this point in the process, we would be getting back to near pre-pandemic levels of office occupancy, but it just hasn't happened. It's really an interesting situation. So we'll have to continue to keep an eye on that, but we're talking about 50% of office space not being used. I'm not saying it's not leased. It's still leased. It's just leased and not used, which is wasteful. And companies are going to have to really sort that out in the years to come. Let's move on. Elon Musk, one of my personal favorite people on planet Earth, who, by the way, just came out and endorsed President Trump, also guaranteed $45 million per month in political donations up until the election. One of the most influential people on planet Earth, one of the most wealthy people on planet Earth, and the biggest media mogul on planet Earth as owner of X, formerly known as Twitter. Elon Musk recently announced he's moving both X, formerly known as Twitter, and SpaceX headquarters out of California to the free state of Texas. He states that he's doing this in opposition to a new California law banning school districts from requiring schools to notify parents if their child asks to change their gender identification. He calls this the final straw. So really what's happening here is the government wants to replace parents and make decisions for these children without the parents' involvement, which is absolutely nuts. A child has a mental illness, and the government is going to step in, play the role as of the parent, and not even notify the parent that it is doing so. This is absolutely madness. He also cited lingering problems, including concerns about the crime level in San Francisco, where the headquarters of X is currently located. Quote, I did make it clear to Governor Newsom about a year ago that the laws of this nature would force families and companies to leave California to protect their children. If you wimps in California still can't find the guts to get out of there when the government is coming for your children, I don't know what else to tell you. If protecting your children is not motivating enough, to get out of that liberal hellhole. I understand there are areas that have beautiful weather. I do. I love beautiful weather more than most people. I am a weather freak. I am a sun worshiper. No amount of weather or sun would ever convince me to live in a liberal place like California. That's not only liberal, but also very, very expensive, crazy regulations, crazy traffic, everything that comes along with that liberal style of government they have in California. As a matter of fact, I was just out in Seattle, which is a similar situation, for the national soccer tournament with my daughter, and I could not believe it. Everything was so expensive. Gas was so expensive. You go to a fast food restaurant and a cheeseburger was $10. These liberal places are so expensive and you don't get anything for it. You get harassed by homeless people. You get terrible traffic. You get surrounded by kooky people that you don't want to have any relationship with. I do not understand why a conservative person would live in Washington, would live in Oregon, would live in California. Any sane conservative would get the heck out of there and feel so good having done so. I cannot believe that people are not more motivated to leave those places. I can't imagine living there. There's no amount of money that would get me to live in either of those states. Elon is moving X headquarters to Austin and the headquarters of SpaceX from Hawthorne, California to South Texas Industrial Hub near Brownsville, known as Starbase, which is also home to SpaceX rocket launch site. Musk previously relocated the headquarters of Tesla, his electric vehicle company, from Palo Alto, which is Silicon Valley, to Austin. Musk and other corporate leaders have previously cited the rising costs of doing business in California as a reason for relocating operations to Texas. Again, Elon Musk is the man. He saved free speech in this country. He essentially invented the electric vehicle. I'm not a big electric vehicle guy. It's not my thing. Eventually, when it drives you, right, when it's got the autopilot feature and it's got a longer range, I'll be in. I'm not an electric vehicle guy right now. I don't like a lot of the government incentives that are surrounding the electric vehicles and electric batteries. I don't believe in all of that. Nevertheless, Elon is playing the long game with Tesla. In addition to electric vehicles, he's also planning robots for your home. He's also planning robo taxis. He's doing all kinds of crazy things at Tesla. Elon Musk is the man. Congratulations to Tesla. I wish more people had the balls that Elon has and would get the heck out of these liberal states that do not deserve you, that don't serve you. They don't deserve you. They don't serve you. And it just is a miscalculation to overpay, to play, to live in a place where you stick out as a conservative and where you're unappreciated. Come home to Tennessee, to Florida, to Texas, to the Carolinas. We'll welcome you with open arms. Everybody will be cooler. Everyone will be nicer. Everything will be cheaper. You'll pay less taxes. It's a higher quality of living. There's a church on every block. Why stay in these places, folks? Trust me on this. Get the heck out of there. We need to sort each other out in this country. If you want that liberal, if you're a liberal that wants that liberal style of living, right, move to a liberal state. If you're a conservative that wants that conservative style of living, let's stop fighting. Let's just move. Let's move to conservative states. Let's move to liberal states. Let's sort each other out. It doesn't have to be a battle to the death. Have some balls and move yourself and your family where you fit in. Two more stories for you today, guys. Mortgage refinance applications hit the highest point in 2 years. Can you believe this? Mortgage rates are not very low. They haven't ticked down much, but mortgage refinance applications have hit the highest point in 2 years. Let's dig into this. The number of borrowers who refinanced their home loans surged 15% in the week ended July 12th compared to the previous week. Now, compared to the same week 1 year ago, refinances jumped a whopping 37%. It's the highest level of refinance activity since August 2022. Now, as of July 11th, the average 30-year fixed mortgage stood at 6.89%. The ease in mortgage rates came on the heels of a positive inflation report, the most encouraging signal yet that the Federal Reserve could begin lowering interest rates as soon as September, which is, again, is interesting. If you think interest rates are going down in September, why refinance now? Why not hold out for 2 months? Borrowers who refinanced most likely took out their mortgage earlier this year when rates were higher than they are now. It's only July. So what they're telling us is if you took out a mortgage in January or February, you're now rushing out to refinance for 6.89% in July when interest rates are forecast to go down in September. I don't quite get it, but they say the urge to refinance is partly psychological. Borrowers would prefer to see a 6% mortgage rate, even if the interest rate they have is not much higher than current rates. So if they're just above 7, supposedly, for psychological reasons, they'd like to see that rate locked in at 6 in the front, even if it means 6.89. 6.89 feels better than 7.3 or whatever they're saying. I get it. I'm telling you, I'm borrowing money right now. I think a lot about interest rates. That seems a little bit nutty. What a pain in the butt it is to refinance a loan, to do so twice, to get loans twice in 1 year to save a quarter of a point when supposedly they're going to be going down in a couple months. This sounds like madness to me. I don't really understand it, but we're going to go with it. I'm going to report on it as CoStar did, right? Which is one of the biggest information providers in the commercial real estate business, the behemoth, right? The giant commercial real estate information provider says it, will repeat it. Lastly, we're going to go off topic a little bit here. Youth sports. So I have a youth sports charity called Beechwood Sports Club. We try to teach children life lessons through sports, right? I think it is the best way to really create resilient, impressive adults by challenging them to be their best at youth sports while they're young and developing, right? Now, I stumbled upon this article, and here's the premise. I'm going to spare you a lot of the details. They did a study of children who played youth sports all the way up till 18. They did a study of children who played youth sports some of their life, but then quit. And then they did a study of those children that didn't play any youth sports at all. The group that played youth sports continually until the age of 18 reported fewer symptoms of depression and anxiety than either of the other groups in adulthood, right? It seems that the longer an individual is exposed to a typical sporting environment, the more likely they are to experience repeatedly encouraging environments and are urged to develop habits that are conducive to long-term mental well-being, such as commitments to regular exercise and opportunities and abilities to collaborate with others. When sporting environments offer positive experiences, longer durations of exposure to sport appear to work in a cumulative fashion and can lead to mental health benefits that occur even decades down the road. And I will tell you, when my kids were little, I did not force them to play any particular sport, but I did say, I don't care what sport you choose. I don't care what you decide your passion is, but you are going to play a sport because sports are a learning tool, a character builder, right? In fact, I wrote a children's book on this topic. If you want to look it up on Amazon, The Little Boy Who Always Got Back Up. It is a story about a little boy who's trying to become a basketball star. He gets knocked down over and over and over and gets back gets back up every single time. He learns resilience, and at the end of the book, he is triumphant. So I encourage you to check that out. If you have a young child that you can read to before bed, it's particularly well suited for that. And, we also did a separate podcast directed at children who are living in fatherless homes, which is another really serious problem that we have in this country. And we elaborate a lot on these themes of youth sports in that podcast. I'd encourage you to check that out as well. Well, guys, we are out of time. I thank you so much for tuning in this week to the Free Speech Podcast. I enjoy bringing you this information. I hope you enjoy consuming it. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you next week.